Welcome to RC Underground Radio.
We're racing toy cars here.
If you've been looking for a podcast that talks about one RC tracks, suppliers, and events, then you're in the right place.
I haven't changed my underwear since the Kenman. I'm not kidding.
I'm
not kidding. It's the same.
I didn't want to go there.
It's this.
And we're glad you're here. Now, here are your hosts, Ryan Retzloff and David Brinkman.
I am a BB in a boxcar.
Well, we took a week off. Need a little recharge, but we are back.
A little R&R was nice.
A little R&R, yes, for sure. So, but we're back, and we're ready to rock.
Yeah, absolutely.
I should say we're ready to shamrock.
We're ready to shamrock. Hey, before we get started, I just want to send our good friend Ron Peacock a little note. He's out on his vacation, his Alaskan trip. I'm sure you'll be listening to this, brother, when you're out there, but we love you. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic time.
So if anybody ever wondered, there are peacocks in Alaska.
There are peacocks in Alaska, no doubt.
Yeah,
There's two of them right now that I know of.
Exactly, at least two.
Oh, man, I have been yearning for this next podcast. I think it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. We got some stuff to talk about, but getting ready. I got a busy weekend, which we'll get into here in just a bit, but oh, man. It's just good to be back.
Yeah, it's funny. We do this every week, and then we take 1 week off, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much to catch up on. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's been a really crazy, stressful week at work, as you know. But that's over now, and now it's time to just relax, and and part of that is just having fun and getting ready for some racing. So I'm looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah, and then we got a great guest. We got Garry Ankrom from Go Fast RC Graphics is joining us. He's, as many as you know, you've heard his advertisements right here at RC Underground Radio. So we were thrilled to have Garry involved. And I said, hey, we got to get him on the show. Let's just find out more about this guy. Let's find out more about his company and how he ties into RC racing. So I'm super looking forward to that.
Yeah, for sure. He's done some pretty cool things lately. He races down at Race City quite a bit, and he's had some pretty cool wins lately. So I'm excited actually to talk to him about that, and so I'm looking forward to him.
Yeah, we got to pick his brain a little bit because we're hoping to get there.
And, I want some setups, Garry.
Some tips and tricks, and exactly.
I might have to have him actually run my car just so I can say that car won at Race City.
There you go. So.
Go Fast RC Graphics by Turn 4 Studios is your one-stop for all your RC graphic needs. Custom design from start to finish, Go Fast can have you looking your best on race day. Quality vinyl wraps that won't weigh you down. Go Fast can cover your car, your racetrack, and your trophies. Go online to GoFastRCGraphics.com and get your team looking right on race day. Right now, you can use the promo code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your next purchase. That's GoFastRCGraphics.com.
All right, Ryan, well, we got a great guest tonight.
We sure do.
A lot to talk with him about. So let's just jump right in it. We want to welcome to the show Garry Ankrom from Go Fast RC Graphics. Welcome, Garry.
Hey, guys. What's going on?
Beautiful day in paradise, my friend. Just another day in beautiful paradise.
Yeah,
Good old Wisconsin.
Another day.
Yeah, we just want to apologize now. We were off last week, so we have like 14 days that we're wound up and ready to go. So buckle up.
I'm getting it all barrels, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Buckle up, put the Hans device on, because, it's going to get nuts.
Well, maybe.
Maybe.
So, Garry, you do a heck of a job promoting your business, Go Fast RC Graphics. You do some incredible work. I think your best work is on the Ron Peacock cars, mainly because he's a good friend of all of ours, right? But let's talk a little bit about. Well, I want to touch on a lot of things, but first off, you are a veteran, so we want to thank you for your service.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you, Garry.
But I want to hear about how you got into RC racing, when you got into it, and the whole, really your business and how that all got started.
Well, it's funny. So I started a business. My actual business is called Turn 4 Studios, and that's a motorsports marketing and graphic design, a little bit of consultation. We do everything from logo design, wrap designs, hero cards, T-shirts, hats. If it promotes motorsports in any form or fashion, that's what Turn 4 Studios was built for. That's why I started it.
Okay.
Right before COVID hit, I was digging through the garage and I had an old Traxxas Slash sitting in a Rubbermaid tub, and I was like, we just moved down here to North Carolina from Pennsylvania, and I thought, I bet you there's somewhere I can go play with this thing. And I was thinking like an off-road style track.
Yeah.
I just figured there had to be somewhere to go play with this. So I jumped on the internet and I found the Mud Boss. And I was like, oh, and coming from an oval racing background, I had raced a little bit when I was up in Pennsylvania and whatnot. And I was like, oh, okay, so we race these things in circles. So then I started looking into it, and I went, oh, I can convert this thing. So then I started looking a little further and trying to find a track, and I found a track called Little Indy, and it was run by a gentleman named Bobby Bowe in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And unfortunately, I really didn't get a chance to race there a whole lot, but I went in. The first day I went in, they made me feel so welcome, and that was my first interaction with anybody or anything involving RC cars. Okay. And I walked in, and there was a guy there that had a Coltrickle City Chevrolet style car. So I immediately gravitated to him, and I went and we started talking, and he introduced me to Bobby. And before I left, they were like, well, here, you want to race one of our cars? And I was just deathly afraid of destroying somebody else's equipment or getting out there during a race and affecting somebody else's race. So I actually turned it down, and I said, no, I'm better off not doing that. But I went home and jumped in with both feet, and I took my Traxxas Slash and I turned it into a Mud Boss. And I went out there and I turned a couple laps and found out that it was a lot harder than it looked, especially on dirt and not, I mean, I don't have the dexterity these kids do these days playing Xbox all the time. So it was a little rough, but I went out there and I did that for a little bit. And the guy, name is Darren Coates, the guy with the City Chevrolet car, he helped me out some, and we tinkered a little bit, but I really didn't have a whole lot of time to focus on it. But he had asked me if I could do, he knew what Turn 4 Studios was because we talked about it, and he asked if I could do a wrap for him. And that was the first one. That was where it all started. I started looking at it, and I was like, well, yeah, I can do that. So kind of figured it out, and I didn't have a vinyl machine. I didn't have any of that, but I had the graphic design background, and I, long time ago, I went to art school, and they told me I couldn't make a living drawing cars. So now I'm set out to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
And, I did a couple wraps for him, and then, the word started to spread, and I thought, well, I better kind of make this official. So that's where Go Fast came from. It's kind of like a branch off of Turn 4 Studios, and it's Go Fast Racing Graphics, Go Fast RC Graphics. It's Go Fast is kind of the we'll call it a product line. And that stems from back when I raced real cars. The joke was because a lot of the cars I was lettering, because I had a cheap layered vinyl machine, and I rather than pay somebody to do my stuff, I was doing my own. Well, I started doing other people's, and it started getting to the point where everybody's car I was putting stickers on was winning. So we jokingly called it Go Fast Vinyl, just saying it adds 2/10 that the vinyl alone. And I will neither confirm nor deny that we refused to put stickers on some cars that didn't have a chance to win. Just to kind of keep the name going. But then, so that's all in the past. And I started started doing this, and I thought, well, that's the perfect name for this.
Yeah.
And it has really taken off. I started out doing just a handful, and I did the math the other day. I did 167 reps total last year.
Get out of here.
It is May 18th, and I just started on rep 186 for the year.
Wow. It's crazy though, because you mentioned, you got that slash, you go check out a racetrack and everybody welcomed you. I love hearing that, because I experience that same thing pretty much everywhere I go. People welcome you with open arms. I think there's something really cool about the RC community. Everybody wants people to get involved. So it's like, yeah, come on, check it out. I've never been to a track or never met anyone that's like, no, you stay away from me. No, we don't want anything to do with you. You know what I mean? It's like, I think that's neat.
Yeah, it's like everybody is going to that track kind of for that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, they want to race, you want to compete, but it's like, who can I meet today? And, who can I make a friend with today that's just into this hobby?
So you mentioned too your race. What classic car did you race back in your day?
I ran. Essentially, it was I started out in 4 cylinders. It was asphalt.
Mm-hmm.
Started out in an old Cavalier and then moved up to a Monte Carlo, and it was essentially like a hobby stock class. So 305 engine.
Yep, those are always the fun classes too, because you guys would go out there and just lay the wood to them.
Yeah, it's some of the best racing that you see.
Yep.
Well, it's amazing what guys will do for a trophy, or if because we didn't even race for money. We got a free pit entry, and we raced for a trophy.
That's neat.
Yeah. It was a good time, but it was, and to correlate it back to what you just said about having fun and seeing people at the track and whatnot, I quit doing it because it was so much work. Yeah. I told everybody it was 40 hours worth of work for 8 minutes of fun, and I can go have that 8 minutes of fun at a go-kart track and not have to repair the stuff I tear up.
Yeah, that's that.
And by go-kart track, I don't mean your local, oval track. I mean, I can go to K1 speed and, drive a kart around there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just was, it got to the point where it was too much work. And what I like about RC racing is, we're in the pits and you're BSing with your buddy, and you're having a good time, and you're busting on each other, and you're talking, and then you're helping people, and people are helping you, and then you're up on the driver's stand, and you can, you're focused, and you want to win, but some of the biggest laughs and most fun I've had have been in the last 2 or 3 years playing with these toy cars and hanging out with my buddies and making new friends like Ron Peacock, like Matt Murphy, at the track.
Yeah, I think that's one thing RC racing has over full scale racing, is because there isn't that noise, that level of sound, right? So, like, obviously racers racing at a local track, they can't talk to each other during the race. They'd love to. There'd probably be some hilarious stuff, but in RC racing, you can, right? You can kid around on the driver's stand. You can, we're always teasing about, we're always teasing about our sorry jar, because one guy runs in another, oh, I'm sorry. And
how many times do you hear that at night?
Yeah, and even in the pits, we used to run. My son used to run midgets, and it's like, it's so loud with every division out there. You could only talk during the breaks, right? Where RC racing, like you said, you can be sitting next to your buddy in the pits and having just as much fun and funny stories and people busting on each other for laughs. You can't really do that at a full size track. So,
so in terms of the graphic business and Go Fast, I thought there was something just extremely unique about your business. And you got it right on your page. It says, we do not duplicate or replicate current driver wraps, which I thought was pretty interesting because, one of the coolest things that we have with RC, right, is we can get creative. And I thought that was a bold statement for a specific reason, meaning, Mr. Customer, get creative. Don't ask me to repeat, you know, what everybody else is doing. I don't want those cars to look like the next guy, you know, because you talk about that cold trickle wrap. I had one too. I did the mellow yellow. I was a huge fan. Still am a huge fan of Days of Thunder. That City Chevrolet car was awesome. I love the mellow yellow one. You know, but so many cars start to look like that after time, right? Because you can just go on eBay and grab a wrap off somewhere, and
it's been
put it on
done
your
so
car.
many times,
Yeah,
right?
there's no creativity in it, and you know, I think it's good for people to understand. You know, you went to art school, you have that graphic design, Turn 4 Studios. That's what you do, and you want to challenge yourself and challenge your customers to get creative as well. So I dig that. About what you've got going on. So I think that's a really cool statement, and I would tell anyone, you know, that's looking at the website and, you know, checking out what you do, don't get discouraged by that. You know, shoot you an email, kind of send you some pictures of what they're thinking, right? And you make it happen.
Exactly. And you know, I always tell people, everybody, they'll throw out somebody else's name and, you know, another designer, another wrap company, and I don't want to say names because I don't want anybody to feel like I'm singling them out. But you know, they'll throw out those names, and I always tell people, listen, we're not in competition. There's plenty of you guys and us guys, really, you know, RC guys around to keep us busy. I'm a one-man show, and I am proud of that, and I'm proud of the fact that of the 500 or 600 plus wraps that I've done, most of them are 100% custom. Now, some of those wraps are, you know, guy comes to me last year and wants the same thing this year, you know, so that's not necessarily a new design, but if they want a Kyle Larson wrap, they can go on eBay and find one. If they want, you know, a replica of something, have at it. I'm not offended if you choose to go somewhere else. I think the quality of my design speaks for itself, and I think the quality of our what we put out speaks for itself. You know, I don't do fluorescent. I do neon. I have a company I work with that'll print neon for me.
Okay.
So instead of having layered vinyl and having extra weight, you know, it's the same thing. Everything's laminated, so they hold up really well. They take a beating. You know, I have a McAllister body with a wrap on it for a truck, and I haven't quite figured out how to drive that thing yet. And it's funny, my son was actually in here earlier talking to me. He goes, "It's amazing how it looks like the real thing because there's rubber built up on it. It's beat to hell, and you know what? The wrap itself is holding up just fine. If I wipe it down, it'll be clean. It's because it's the quality of the material we use." You know, but I say all that to say, yeah, I mean, I do custom wraps. Will I do a replica? I have had people send me, and this is actually how I got started in one RC racing, is I had a guy send me some blurry pictures of his buddy's car. And we're talking from the early 80s. And they were really blurry. Could barely tell what they were. And he said he was looking for somebody to do this. And he actually told me he was opening a track in South Carolina, a 1RC track. And I went in and I talked to him about it. I did the wrap. It was a really neat project because, again, I'm sitting there trying to figure out how to match up what you can barely see in the photograph. And I've gotten the opportunity to do probably 15 or 20 of those where they're a replica, but they're a replica of my dad's best friend's car that I used to go watch when I was 7 years old, you know, things like that. But again, I'm not doing the existing stuff. I mean, those guys, first off, a lot of that stuff's copywritten, and I'm running a legit business, so I'm not trying to get in any trouble doing that kind of stuff. So
yeah, you got a lot on the line.
Let others do it.
Yeah,
and let everybody else.
Yeah, go ahead and do all that, right? Yeah, let them take that risk and that liability. You know, you've got mouths to feed, right? And it's that's your business. So I'm going to ask you that truck you said you can't drive, right? Was that your NAS truck?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm staring at an Instagram post of winner chicken dinner. So obviously you can wheel that car, but the thing you said about your durability and all that stuff, I'm looking at the front end of that truck, and boy, you did use the bumper a little bit. Either that or you bounced her off the wall. One of the two.
Well, you ought to see the video of the race.
ought to see the other guy. Right?
but it's crazy though, with that front end being beaten, battered up, and rub marks on it, the graphics held up, and that's the biggest thing. We as us racers that don't have the ability to do what you do, we spend these money on these wraps. We want our cars looking, awesome, and then you got, I'll face it, I've got some wraps on my cars, and it's like I got to clean stuff off, and I'm worried about this stuff, coming off. These cars, you can tell they're raced. They look great. I mean, the Slash looks, that's actually a pretty darn cool wrap, that 21 car you got. But yeah, it shows how that stuff holds up really, really well.
Yeah,
so,
and I would add to that. I'd add to that, Gary. You are like clever as a fox to take that stand, because, like, I'll take it for myself. I go out to a page. I want to see all the different wraps, right? And it catches your eye to go, wow, like I haven't seen anything like this before. Consistently, like every single one is something I've never seen before, versus you go to most sites and it's like, oh, that's a cool rendition of this car from Days of Thunder, or that's cool, that looks just like the old Tide Ride, which is
they
nostalgic.
They all look neat, but until you pull up to a racetrack and the same guy's got the, another guy's got the same darn car, it's like, well, where's the fun in that?
Yeah, exactly. So, what I noticed on your site is just that everything's so different, you can't help but look at every single wrap, right? You go through the whole thing going, wow, I've never seen that before. That's really cool. And I think then it inspires people to go, yeah, I can come up with something. I'm starting to see something in my head. Yeah. And it's from that motivation of what you just looked at the site.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've had some people send me pictures from the site and say, I want this one. I don't really replicate a wrap I've done. If you call me and say you want a wrap that looks like wrap A, you want wrap B to look like that, I won't do it. There are a few exceptions. I've had guys that have purchased cars that have a wrap that we did, that I did, and I will take and make them a new one for the rest of their cars to match that. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I don't even. I'll take elements from it if like taking my wrap, for example, if they like the way I did the stars and stripes on mine, I'll take certain elements of that, but I won't do it exactly the same, because first off, what's the fun in that? Like you said, you show up at the track and somebody, you set your car down and the guy next to you's got the same car. It's just got a different number, or in some cases it's the same number. Well, what are you going to do when you're out on the track trying to figure out which one's which?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of recently had that. I sent a picture to Ryan because I was looking at one of the sites, and there's a track, and my wrap that I came up with is pretty detailed, has its own specific look to it. It's the chicken car. It's known as the chicken car, and all of a sudden I go, hey, Ryan, look, somewhere, there's another chicken car. It's my exact wrap, and sure. I mean, I don't have it trademarked or anything. It can happen. I'm sure. I hope the guy's enjoying it and having a great run and all those types of things. But yeah, I was a little disappointed is probably too big of a word, but it was just like, hey, that's my chicken car.
That's mine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we buy and sell cars, and that's one thing about these 1RC cars especially, is they hold their value. We buy and we sell them, and they're all over the place, and that's actually how I think all of us have met Ron Peacock. But I do not sell my bodies, even if it's destroyed and I'm never going to use it again. I don't sell it because I don't want to see somebody else out there
running your design,
running my car, my wrap, right? Yeah. Whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, I just don't want to be, Same reason you'll never see somebody else driving one of Murphy's cars.
Right.
It's just I don't want it out there for others to.
It's his design.
Change
It's
the
his
image.
trademark, right? Yeah, exactly. And that's
Right.
as nerdy as that sounds, I've got my cars, my my layout and my design on my cars, and that's my signature. They all look the same, right? From my Slash to my
Yep.
1RC, that's my thing. People know when the fluorescent yellow and the purple and the black car come out there. There's Ratzlaff. He's gonna get ready to spank me, or he's gonna crash and whatever. But
that's why we're glad he runs the fluorescent. We always know where he's at.
Yeah,
we know what to watch for.
Get out of his way.
yeah.
That's why I switched over to fluorescent red.
Yeah, no, and it's a cool scheme. So, let's talk a little bit actually about 1RC and what got you into that. I'm curious as you went with the Mud Boss, you ran that, but tell me about 1RC and what got you hooked on that.
Well, the same guy that got me hooked on racing, RC racing in general, had some 1RC cars, and at the time, Matt was just building his facility. Was just getting ready to open it, I believe. And they were racing, these other guys down in South Carolina were racing in this little barn at Fountain Inn during the winter only. So it wasn't a year-round thing. They had a big oval track, and they would, in the wintertime, they'd go in and race. Well, I had seen his 1RC cars, and I thought they were neat. And the thing I liked about them was the fact that they were so much like the real deal. And at the time, it was the EDM, the midget, and the sprint car were the only things out. And I looked at them. I thought, well, those are neat. And I decided I would go, and I actually picked up I bought a midget, a sprint car, and a EDM, and I wrapped them for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to get my hands on the template. I wanted to see how that, 1RC is real good, and a lot of the companies are. They'll send you the template for the wraps. So I started by basically coming up with a design, then putting it, wrapping it, and seeing how that fit on the car and everything. But I just had them. They were showpieces. They just sat on my desk, and they looked really cool. But I really didn't have anywhere to race them. Mm-hmm. And then I had a guy reach out about it was a car I talked about earlier about doing he sent me the blurry pictures and asked me to replicate that car, and I did on an EDM. And he told me he was opening a track in South Carolina. So I went down there and ended up hooking up with those guys for a while and made some pretty good friends. And we raced there until it got to the point where, unfortunately, it was only like the same 3 or 4 guys racing every week. And we weren't drawing new people in. And it wasn't worth it, I guess, to continue paying the bills. So the track shut down. And in that time frame, I had done a little bit of traveling. I had gone to Murphy's place at the Race City Speed Factory, which is an hour and a half from my house. And then I would go a little further. There was a track in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I'd go there and play a little bit, but we'll call it my home track was the track in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. And it was Cherokee RC Speedway. And when it shut down, I wasn't ready to just go, okay, well, I guess I'm done. So yeah, I started, I pretty much before it shut down, but when you saw the writing on the wall that it was coming, I started going to the Speed Factory on a regular basis. And now it's rare that he's open and I'm not there.
I was going to say, you've kind of become a staple there.
Yeah, family activities are about the only thing that'll keep me from making it.
You got hooked on the 1RC. Very rare that I see you not on the podium. I think last week you had a double feature win, took it home in the super late model class there. It's just neat to see that you're out there doing it. And you do Matt's wraps now too on all of his cars, I believe.
Yeah, he's recently brought his late model. And he had his pavement mod, with him when he came to the RC Underground, and they were stellar.
Yeah, those are an example of what I talked about. I don't do overlaid fluorescent, but we do print neon, and his stuff comes out pretty good. Now his are are like mine in that we die cut the wrap around the design of the wrap in an effort to show off that painted pink on his, or on mine, the fluorescent red, or I just did one the other day for a guy, his car's fluorescent yellow. And we don't want to cover that really pretty paint job, whatever it takes to make sure that we're exploiting that, the uniqueness of those fluorescent colors. Or if you do a metallic, because there's no way to really replicate a metallic paint on a wrap. So if you take the time to paint it that way, then let's take the time to customize the vinyl so that it showcases that. Part of what takes, part of the time involved in this is designing around the restrictions, and I use that word as a positive. In my case, designing around the fluorescent red, or I just recently did a wrap for Ron Peacock. He wanted a tide ride, and I painted the body. And I'm not a painter, so I didn't do a great job, but I painted the body, and we did all the vinyl. We did it just as decals instead of covering the whole thing and trying to, stretch the vinyl. These are RC cars. You try to use heat to stretch the vinyl around the car, and it's going to melt. And that's why, you see a lot of these cars that have the nose wrapped.
Yeah.
It's all wrinkled, and it's, that's why we don't do it that way.
No. And the other thing too, you have to consider, right? As I think any RC racer, weight isn't always a good thing, and wraps can weigh a lot. I mean, if you're doing that full car, I can remember, I when I first got into this, that mellow yellow car, and I bought a wrap. I did the eBay thing, and that thing was heavy. It weighed down the car. And as I started to get into this more and understand, the setups and things like that, boy, that added a lot of weight to that body when I checked it versus, just a standard painted body. And that really kind of said that was the indicator for me to say, well, okay, I need to find a new source for this, get creative, do my own thing so that I don't have all that weight. So
are there guys that are going, hey, I want to do, full wrap on the left side? I'm going to paint the whole thing. I'm going to do full wrap on the left side. Can you use a little heavier wrap? And then on the right side, I just want to decal it. Now, you don't have to say names, but is that kind of stuff going on out there?
So the answer is no, not yet. But that is a running joke that I add an extra layer of laminate on the left side of my cars.
See, this is ridiculous, David, because I had that idea and I was gonna talk to Garry about doing that on my car, and you just wrecked it for everyone. You wrecked it for me because now the secret is going to be out.
I'm taking a note. That's edit 3.87.
And a matte finish laminate is a little thicker than a gloss laminate too. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm all for trying to find some competitive edge, and left side weight is definitely a helper. So, okay, Garry,
right.
Well, let's get designing.
Well, it's funny though. I mean, we joke about that with the wraps, but if you think about these little 1RC cars and how a millimeter of a change can affect it, and how the slightest little thing. So when you talk about weight and the way you position your speed control or your regulator, or even how you put the battery in, people are trying everything they can to get as much speed as possible. And all those little things, to include little creative things like thinking about putting, more vinyl on one side than the other. It's not that far-fetched.
It's not wrong, and that's the thing. You're creative on the graphic side, and obviously I know you are creative on the car side of it too. I mean, you're a regular ringer at Race City, but that's the fun thing for a lot of us, is we try and get creative that way. I try and do a lot of stuff with my cars. I scale them. I'm looking for all of that speed. And I think that's the coolest thing, is just creativity. And you get that, with your wraps, because you're working with your client or customer to develop exactly what they're looking for, and your wisdom and your knowledge, right? of okay, well, maybe we tweak this a little bit, or hey, you did a really nice paint job. Let's minimize how much vinyl's actually on the car. That's just creativity, and that's really also what creates customers for life. And it really creates a showpiece that people are proud of. So,
Yeah, and it's really a differentiator, right? I mean, we're sitting here having this conversation. Things that are popping in my head is just getting fired up, because it's like, this is truly a designer customer experience. This isn't just ordering a wrap, right? You probably are on the phone with some of your people, and there's a lot of customization. Just the whole discussion that you had about when you're marrying up a wrap with paint, and it was so eloquent what you said about we figure it out, and like where the cut lines are going to be. I mean, that's real customer service to like a whole nother level, but it makes it very exciting, right? Because again, it's not just a wrap on my car because I want my car to look good, and I can't really do that myself. I'm going to work with Garry, and like, this is going to be a very professional process.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I do try to be professional in that sense because, again, it is a business. But I also spend quite a bit of time communicating with customers and getting a feel for what they like. And, and if I can go out and do a little bit of Facebook stalking and find out who they are and what they're into, I can use those elements in the design, because I've had, on our website, you go to our website and order a wrap, and it has, select your colors, your preferred colors. And I have all the standard colors listed, and somebody will select every single one of them. And then you kind of question, okay, how do I do that? Or sometimes you get some requests that are a little more creative than you would expect, and you have to be able to adapt to that. And then on the other hand, you've got customers like Matt Murphy who know exactly what he wants down to the angle of the number, and will give that information. And Matt and I, when I work on Matt's stuff, I know I have to block out a certain amount of time. And I have this little device that like clamps on my desk, and I FaceTime with him, and we sit there, and he looks at my screen and goes, move it over just a little bit more. And, we get to where it's what he wants. The whole point of this thing is at the end of the day, I mean, I want my customers to be excited when somebody says, who did your car? I want them to say go fast, and I want them to point in my direction. And quite honestly, I mean, I think for the most part, 99.9% of my customers do that.
Yeah. It's neat though that the attention to detail, that level of customer service, that's so darn important. And that's the thing. You get what you pay for. So we price is then thrown out of the equation, right? I mean, I don't even think it wouldn't even be fair for me to ask you what one of your wraps costs. That's not the point. The point is your customer is getting something that is just out of this world, meets and exceeds their expectations. And for you get to use your creative juices to make all that happen. I think that's just so neat. So I would encourage people, to get a hold of you, get their creative juices flowing, and the thing of it is just, for me, I like to look at all the cool designs people come up with. I am not creative on the artistic side of things. And so I'll look at, your Instagram all the time and the stuff that you post and all of these other cars out there, because I'm on, my Facebook feed is, let's face it, it's all RC cars at this point. And, seeing some of these really cool designs, that gets my juices flowing a little bit, like, wow, that guy really spent a lot of time, and so I'm excited to work with you in the future to kind of come up with something new, because, this next season's coming. We're going to be putting an end to ours pretty soon. And I just want to change the game up a little bit. I've learned a lot, and, we talked about that left side weight. That's kind of cool. I want to maybe look at something like that, but also lighten up my car a little bit.
Price, my prices, I'm very transparent. My prices are all listed on the website. You can go to the website and actually order from the website everything you need. I usually tell people after they've ordered to get in touch with me through Facebook, because Messenger just happens to be the fastest and easiest way to do real-time communication when I'm working on a design.
Yeah.
But we deal with people through the phone. We deal with people through email. I have people from the local track that come to me for reps, but again, there's not 186 of them at the track. So a lot of that business comes from the internet. The vinyl costs a certain amount, but it's the time it takes to do the design and whatnot. And I tell people too, when they reach out, I am 4 to 6 weeks out.
That's okay.
And I've lost customers because of that, but I'd rather tell you that up front than have you come to me 6 weeks from now asking how come it's not done yet.
Yeah, exactly. You get that out front there, right? And then they're aware of that. But if you are 4 to 6 weeks out, I would still encourage anyone to take the leap, wait the time,
just plan for it.
Yeah,
just
plan for it. I mean, the quality is there. And it's, you're not just doing one RC. You're doing the McAllister bodies. I mean,
I do.
They're beautiful.
Well, from the RC graphics side of things, I do everything. It doesn't matter what it is. If people their first question is, do you have the template for Body X? It doesn't matter. If it's because of how we do it, especially if it's like a late model or a street stock, we're not going to wrap the window post and everything else. So I don't need a template per se. I need to see some measurements. And I tell everybody ahead of time, especially like the 1RC stuff is awesome because everything is cut to shape. Everything is the same. They're definitely the easiest to design for and the easiest to print, ship, everything, because of the size, because of the wheel openings are always in the same place. You don't have to worry about things getting, sponsors or numbers getting cut off or anything like that. But when I'm doing like the McAllister bodies that I use for the street stock that I run, and I tell people mount it and cut it before we send the design to print. I'll do the design and we work on the design through some cool concept art. But when it comes time to get it ready to send off to be printed, send me some measurements. I need to know how wide the wheel openings are. I need to know what kind of space we have and where those wheel openings are, because everybody mounts their body a little different. Everybody, people will mount it cockeyed, people will mount it, they'll cut, higher on one side, lower on the other. However they mount it, by giving me those measurements, I can then make sure that your sponsors aren't cut off, your numbers aren't cut off. The important part of the graphics are still shown. So it doesn't matter if I have a template or not. I don't have to have a template. I just we need to communicate. And that's why on my website, if you go, it doesn't say / body. It says, 10th scale, 8th scale, quarter scale. I've done a couple quarter scales. And, through the other side of my business, I'm doing full-size cars.
Yeah, you're doing it all.
So it doesn't.
So basically, it's like anybody who's interested, bring it. You can make it happen.
Right.
Just bring it,
Yep.
I was just going to add that, if you're listening to this, if you're not fired up to get, a Go Fast RC graphic wrap, I don't know what else. I mean, we've learned so much tonight about what makes your company, Garry, so different in this arena, that, I don't know why somebody wouldn't. It's
there's a lot of people out there that do that. It's about the creativity, and the more you talk about this, Garry, it's evident that you're very passionate about what you do in a lot of elements. With your racing, with Go Fast, with Turn 4 Studios, like you got it going on. You've got a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's displayed in your finished product that your customers are posting. that you're posting pictures of as you complete projects. I mean, it's just awesome to see.
So, Garry, as we're winding down here, what's your takeaway moment? Everything we talked about, or maybe something we haven't talked about, what's your takeaway moment that you would want would-be or current customers to remember from this?
I mean, more so than just the graphics side of things, just the fact that these are toy cars, and I'm just as guilty as anybody of taking it a little too serious at times, but these are meant to be fun, so have fun with it. So if you don't have to replicate Kyle Larson's rap. Have fun with it. Let's be creative. Let's do what if you drove a full-size, full-scale car and you were at the track, what would you want it to look like? Well, let's do that with your RC cars.
That's perfect. I don't think it could be any better said than that. So, Garry, on behalf of us, we just want to thank you very much for jumping on tonight and spending some time with us.
Yeah, and Garry, we want to thank you as well for supporting our show. It's just such an awesome spot to be in, to promote one another, and really promote this awesome hobby that we all have. And I want to thank you for that. All the things that you do for, our good friend Ron Peacock, I'm forever indebted to you for that. So just thank you again for all that you do for us, for this hobby, this community that we have. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome, and I thank you guys for your show. Like I was telling you before, I think that the more we can do to promote the sport, and the more we can do to get others as enthusiastic as we are about it, the more it'll grow, and the more tracks will pop up, and the more places we'll have to race, and the more fun we'll have, and the more friends we'll make.
Amen, brother.
Absolutely. Well, again, Garry, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks, Garry.
Thank you, guys.
Well, Ryan, that was a great segment we just had with Garry.
Yeah, what an awesome guy.
Yeah. I mean, just so interesting. There's some things you just take for granted in a way.
Yeah.
But then when you break it down, you really get behind the door or the curtain and find out how it's done. It's just amazing, you know. And
take advantage of the creativity you have and go to Garry, right? And quadruple that with all of his, and you're going to have just an awesome looking car in the end.
Yeah, and he did share the pricing there, and it's like he's right in the ballpark with everybody else. So why wouldn't you get that extra experience and like really dial it in
and get it to what drives you crazy,
Absolutely.
And grinds your gears in terms of how your car looks, because everybody, and Garry said it, if you had a race car and you were racing a big full-size car, how would you want it to look?
Well, and think of that, like if your grandfather raced or your dad raced, I mean, how fun would that be? So that's fun, but the gang is getting back together, putting the band back together.
Talking about this Shamrock, the Shamrock Shakedown, and I had an epiphany. I thought, how cool. Yeah, I just used some effects.
I just got a taste for Lucky Charms.
I had epiphany because I'm like a quarter Irish, okay? And Nick Ciccone shot for the Midwestern, and it's like, you know what? I'm going to do it. So I'm going to call my shot this weekend.
Oh, yeah, you sound like a tough guy now because Matt Murphy isn't going to be here.
Yeah, no kidding. Because okay, so I got a little confession to make. So the last race that Murph joined us with, which was absolutely freaking awesome, we had recorded, and I had called my shot then. And the minute Matt pulled up, and I knew, and I saw him in that rental car that he was driving, I went, damn it, I shouldn't have done that. But now I know Matt's not going to be there. Well, at least, Matt has his way of surprising us, but I know he's got stuff going on this weekend, and, he's at Wilkesboro and all that stuff. So I am going to call it. Okay, and we got Steve Clark, who was a speed demon. We got George Maury, Nick Ciccone. We got the Zima boys. We got Wayne Freeman and his son coming. I mean, it's going to be a packed house, but I'm doing it. I'm saying it right now.
Ooh.
Shot's been called. So I'd like some bookends. I've got the Kenman, which is obviously near and dear to my heart, but because of me being a quarter Irish, I want to have those bookends. So bring it.
There you go. Yeah, and again, we talk about crown jewels. That would be 2 of the 3 crown jewels. That'd be pretty impressive to own.
Now, I got to tell you, too, it's going to be a lot of fun. guys. We haven't seen guys for a while, right? Because it's been a bit since racing and or the last time we raced, excuse me. But I'm looking forward to that. But you know what? I gotta that race is over. I gotta start switching over because I got something else going on.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, we had Aaron Streblo on the line. He's the owner of Attitude Raceway, and Ryan's doing the twofer weekend. Yep. He's running the Shamrock in the 1RC car. And then tell us a little bit, Ryan, what's going on Sunday.
Yeah, I really had to take a leap of faith when we had Matt Murphy on the show for the first time, for the very first time. He said, "Man, I was always very timid about going out racing my Slash." And I just, because I haven't done it yet. I've been preparing it and doing all sorts of stuff. Matt's like, "Man, if you're going to race, just go out and do it. Like, don't, tiptoe around it." And so I'm taking Matt's advice. I'm going to head up to Attitude with some we love Aaron, right? We love Dale. Jason Walecki, he's actually the tech director, which I am going to Venmo him $20. So my car passes tech tonight, actually. So Jason, be on the lookout for that, brother. But, I'm just going to go and do it. It's all about the hang for me, the fellowship, all those boys. I mean, hour and a half drive from home. I'm going to do it. I'm going to load up the car. I'm going to go have some fun. I'm only racing one division, but there's going to be so much good racing. It's an outdoor dirt oval. It's fast. It's loose. I've been watching videos. I mean, these cars are getting sideways. I am so looking forward to this. It's going to absolutely just blow my mind. I know it. He puts on such a good show. His entire driver's area, driver's stand is awesome. He's got great pit areas. So I'm going to go have some fun.
Yeah, and he's, he was on the mic a little bit at the RC Underground, so he's got the pipes. He knows how to entertain and how to call a race. Yep. So
hopefully it's not. And there goes Ratzlaff off the track and over the wall. Hopefully he's not calling any of that. But my goal is just to go have some fun, meet some new friends, hang out with some current friends, and just get stupid. And what I mean by that is just be loose. Be free, have some fun, turn some laps, get better.
Take her to the front.
Well, I'm going for it. And it's funny because I was messaging Jason and he said, "Well, you can run my late model." And it's funny because Garry had mentioned I don't want to run anybody's stuff. I'm the same way. I don't. But he did make a comment that he was going to punt my car over the wall. So Jason, if it happens, it happens.
That's right. No harm, no foul.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no big deal. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and Aaron does a great job of promoting his tracks. So if you're in the Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois borders, if you border Wisconsin, I would encourage you to check him out. It's Attitude Raceway. Google it. His webpage. Got all the rules listed, all the series of events. He's got some great sponsors.
There's 7 or 8 divisions.
Yeah, he runs a lot of divisions. His rules are tight, meaning, I shouldn't say that there's
consistent.
They're consistent, right, with other divisions. He does a great job of putting that all together. Again, he's got some great sponsors, and there's a lot of people that show up. I couldn't even tell you the list of drivers. I mean, it was like 40 people there. And running multiple divisions. I'm going to run one, so I'm going to sit and hang out and watch this stuff. And I mean, by the end of it, who knows? Maybe I'll be buying a late model at the end of the day because I love watching those guys turn laps. So,
yeah, we'll be looking forward to. You got to send us a bunch of pictures. We'll get those up on the RC Underground Radio.
What kind of pictures? With my car upside down, or
sure, just anything that's
appropriate.
Appropriate, yeah. We don't want to get our Facebook page shut down. So
okay, all right, fair enough. I'll look at the photos before I send them to you.
That's right. That's right. So hey, we knew it. We knew getting back. We were both fired up to get back on.
Whoa! You need to pump the brakes. No, don't. Okay, fine. That was kind of cool, actually. So I'm a nerd. Everybody knows that about me, and I like to talk. So here's what's happening. I've been in cahoots with Charlie from Digital Fabrication. We've been coming up with some things. We've been talking about some things. Mm-hmm. So, these motors, the 1RC motors, you got to dyno them, you got to test them. It's a nerdy thing you got to do. You got to check your rear end. You got to make sure that sucker's spinning free. Matt Murphy will be the first to tell you. spend quality time on your rear end. I don't have a button for that, but hang on. Okay, now actually we do. So you got to spend some time, and I've been talking with Charlie back and forth. He's actually starting to develop some stuff for the dynos so that we can hold these motors, well, and then we can also dyno these motors in the rear end and dyno it that way as well, and kind of free them up. So he's working on that. He's also come out with some awesome. It's actually no pun intended here. He's come out with some great holders for lubricants that we use, that most racers use, and also holders for awesome sauce. So I would encourage anyone to go check him out. It's Digital Fabrication by CK. He's only on Facebook right now, but you can reach out to him. He responds like almost instantly to messages. He ships products out. His pricing, he's actually come up with some new air cleaners, which are rad. We're always painting the tops. He's got I got some goodies coming. I already sent him money, and I said, here, just make her happen, Captain. But he's coming out with some really cool stuff, and obviously his setup stations are out of this world. So
yeah, they become the standard.
Yeah,
I see more and more of them in the pit areas. Just pop it up.
Yeah, you do. So I just encourage people to take a look at his Facebook page. Message him. He can do custom colors. It's funny, he was printing some stuff the other day for me in my signature color, my neon yellow, and his wife happened to be walking by the printer, and she goes, "Oh, you're printing something for Ryan again, huh?" So obviously we have a great relationship, but he's a very passionate guy, great family man, a supporter of Mr. Ron Peacock, and a good brother to him. So and a great supporter of this show and us. So his bumpers, I'm sorry, they're out of this world. I mean, they really protect the body. They protect the entire chassis. So if you've got a 1RC car, get a hold of Charlie. Digital Fabrication by CK. I can't say it enough. He's a great friend and brother, and just check him out.
Absolutely. Well, Ryan, that brings us to the end of another podcast. I knew this one was going to go fast, just because we're so excited to get back in the lane and just hit the loud pedal and talk some racing. So I appreciate you being on. As always, we had a great guest in Garry. We had a great conversation. We're fired up for the Shamrock. Come back next week. We'll talk about what took place. We'll have the winner on the line. Maybe it's this guy next to me. Who knows? Who knows? But how much fun it'll be if you did call your shot and you don't win. I'm just saying.
Hey, I'm a big boy. I'll take it. I'll come in with my tail between my legs and say I done messed up. It's fine. But it's not to be arrogant. It's just to tease and razz these guys. I love all of them to death, and I would love to see Steve Clark, George Murray, any one of those guys, Nick Ciccone, do it again. We can have some fun with this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. So again, everybody, thanks for joining us, and we will look forward to chatting with you again next week.
And I promise none of these corny little sound effects next time, guys. So thanks for listening. We appreciate you.
Go Fast RC Graphics by Turn 4 Studios is your one-stop for all your RC graphic needs. Custom design from start to finish, Go Fast can have you looking your best on race day. Quality vinyl wraps that won't weigh you down. Go Fast can cover your car, your racetrack, and your trophies. Go online to GoFastRCGraphics.com and get your team looking right on race day. Right now, you can use the promo code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your next purchase. That's GoFastRCGraphics.com.
You've been listening to RC Underground Radio. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, drop us a line at rcuradio@gmail.com. We're curious to know, what do you like? What don't you like? Who would you like us to talk to?
Sounded really weird.
It was weird, but you know what I meant. We're talking about racing, so...
Okay.
You can find us on Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. See you next time on the RC Underground Radio Podcast.
I am a BB in a boxcar.